All right, gamers, it's time. It's time for RGH. It's time for the best podcast you've ever heard. It's Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and that means that, well, there's a bunch of hot dudes in this stream ready to go. I see a bunch of people in chat. They're hot. This guy's hot. That guy's hot. We're the RGH podcast. We're excited to be here every Wednesday night. We stream here on YouTube. And also, why is this music still on? Hello? What am I, the tech illiterate idiot host Mtashed? Who are you guys?
That's about right. I think you nailed it.
Yeah, someone finally said it.
Okay.
Okay.
So today we have a bunch of interesting topics. Not as much gaming news. You know, there's no leaks, there's no delays or anything, but there's a lot of different things going on in the community and some kind of juicy drama with some big companies. There was a huge Genshin price increase in the Wish shop. EA is getting sued, which my boy's going to get into that. Pokimane does what? Hold on, Pokimane? Is that gaming related? Oh, well, yes, it is. We're going to talk about that. Twitch versus ad blockers, and then are sequels dead? Now, that's a really interesting one at the end. I want you guys to stay because that one is honestly, I think, a new trend in gaming, or at least a continuing trend that is kind of changing the climate of gaming, period. So where are we starting? Right at the top? We're starting
Yeah, let's work our way down.
Yeah. Really,
okay.
The Genshin price increase, and I've already quit Dude, I already quit Genshin. Dude, I'm so far ahead of the curve. I quit Genshin before quitting Genshin was cool, bro. I swear, I just recognize these things. I recognize these systems just because I play so much game. If you're a gamer, it's kind of easy to recognize. You can kind of tell, like, oh, they're limiting me in this regard. Oh, I can only get so much of this. And you can kind of really tell those limitations, and you can tell that they don't want you to get too far ahead, and then it kind of ruins the enjoyment once you realize that.
Yeah, and
I totally get that.
I just Ryan, you haven't been playing as much either, right?
Yeah, so it's a different situation for me. I didn't quit because the game forced me to quit. For me, it really was a situation where I enjoyed the content, and I played a lot of it. I really did. Well, I mean, not relative to you. I was up there in the adventure rank. I was approaching 30. So I was almost to 30. And I started to slow down. And I still had stuff to do. I still had some chests to find, you know, and some of the dungeons to continue to farm. But for me, it was really just about the fact that the characters I wanted to play, I saw that I would have to invest a lot in order to get them to where I wanted it to be. And I was like, for cost value in terms of my time as a content creator, I just couldn't justify it. And it really wasn't because the game, like, it really screwed me and I felt oppressed by it. I was still to the point where I was still having fun. I really did enjoy playing the game. For me, it was really a cost benefit thing.
Yeah, you're a real gamer. You're kind of like Cat, because you saw what was about to unfold and you're like, yeah, nah. And
it's,
you know,
it's
crazy
so easy to tell. Like you just like can you play, you do a lot of quests, and you see the rate of how many wishes you got, and you can just tell, like,
something's wrong here.
it's gonna be another 30 hours before I can get 10 wishes or whatever insane
Yeah.
And the
number.
insane thing though is even if you do spend the money and it's like, all right, I'm gonna spend the money, then you don't have enough resources to even use the characters. So they've got
That
so
was
many
my problem.
problems.
Yeah.
You know, the resin system is one thing, but then they're like, hey, spend money on our game, and it's like, well, I can't use the characters if I get them. But
But you can always spend more money
yeah,
on
fair.
get resource packs, so you can, if you spend money and then get the character, then you can spend more money to get the resources to level the character up.
That's right.
But it's almost not even enough. But you know, with games like this, and I've heard some other content creators talking about it, is this is where it starts with a little bit of experience, and then eventually it's like, hey, you want 5 more adventure ranks? Oh, you want more experience for these characters? They start really adding it in, and apparently that happens with a lot of gacha games, and it goes from a little bit of pay to win to pay to like slay, pay to beat the raid. Like, I don't know.
That's my issue with a lot of these gacha games. Is it really is? It's not that their base game is bad. A lot of times the game is actually really enjoyable at its base level. It's really when you start to get to the end game where they're really going to get you. Because I saw this in a lot of mobile games, because I do enjoy playing a lot of mobile games, but it's been a trend. You start to get to the end game, maybe you're in a clan or whatever that mobile game calls those groups, and you need to take down like clan bosses, and you need to take on these big challenges. And what they make you do is you're either going to have to farm every day consistently for several weeks to get the resources to level up your characters to be able to participate in those activities with your clan, or you're going to cave to peer pressure and say, oh man, my clan is doing, I can see they're doing 2.5 million damage to this clan boss, and I'm down here. I'm just not pulling my weight. I gotta spend money to get these resources to get my characters up to speed. So I'm not the odd man out here slacking in these end game activities. That's where they get you.
It's like, why though? It's like, dude, the Genshin's a great example. Genshin blew up. Like, blew up. The popularity for that game was unbelievable. And now everyone's like slowly getting disinterested and trickling out. That's not to say it's not still a popular game or there aren't new people, but I feel like the process really goes, hey, you start Genshin, you play, you have fun, you start to realize these extreme limitations, you start to get to like around adventure rank 30, and especially with the limitations in the resin system, you realize like it's going to be forever before I can get a new character. You do get a new character, and then you don't have the resources to even level them up, so you can't even play with your new characters. Like, it's like, dude, if they were just a little bit less greedy, they would make probably more money, because there wouldn't be us and so many other people. Like now, do you, Tash, if some friend was gonna say, hey, should I get Genshin, you'd maybe recommend it, but with a warning. You'd be like, yeah, you can get it, but just so you know, like, it's kind of pay to win.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they just would have backed, like, take the pedal off take your foot off the greed pedal for 2 seconds over at the dev studio.
You made a ton of money, all right? So
dude, they made, sorry. Like, yeah, $250 million in like 2 weeks wasn't enough. We got to go for that. We got to go for that 300 million. So we got to like up the prices in all these other countries, which is what they just did. It's like, chill out. You're going to, in the long run, it's going to be way more beneficial to have a fair system. Fortnite's a great example. Free to play. They just had the item store. That's it. Extremely fair. Everyone come on in and play, and that game it's still going, dude. There's still Fortnite updates.
Yep.
And that's what I wish that these developers would see, is they really have a couple of options here. They either keep the pedal to the floor on the greed and they burn out fast, because that's what's going to happen. We've seen it time and time again. These games that really go after your pocketbook, they may make a like big bank up front, but then what happens is suddenly it's just like turning the faucet off, and that money just stops. Players aren't stupid. They're going to catch on to the trend. They're going to pull out, and then your income's gone. But then you've got these games like Fortnite that they were like, we have a great model here. We got a great thing going. We could get real greedy now that we've got the players here. We could try and suck money out of them, or we just stay consistent. Do what we're doing well and do it year after year after year after year. And guess what? They're still making bank.
Yeah. Do you want to be a cash cow that can benefit from this long term, have a consistent income, or do you want to milk your players and they're the cow, and just destroy them after a week? They're going to be these skinny little cows because you sucked all their money out, going homeless, can't even get internet anymore. Like, bro,
yeah,
that's what happened to me. I had to sell my car so I could keep wishing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, dude.
But I wanted to,
crazy.
I wanted to advance this a little bit because someone was actually talking about it.
Hold on a
In-
second,
in-
boy. I'm getting a delivery. Oh,
What is this?
oh, we
Whoa.
got a delivery. Boys, two Vanguards out here drinking all the time. It's my turn, baby. We
Is-
got a cold glass of beer. being poured
Cheers!
right
Wait,
now, baby.
Is that a brewery sponsorship? Oh, it isn't
Dude,
because no one has sponsored us still. If you're a
if
distillery,
Voodoo
if you-
Ranger or whoever wants to, or what is it, New Belgium wants to go sponsor us, like, bro, I'll sell out to them so hard. Like, hey,
oh,
like, bro, you ain't seen. You thought Mtashed was a sellout?
Wait.
Yo, you ain't seen nothing yet.
you got no idea. Actually, funny story is guess who emailed me this morning to do a sponsorship? MiHoYo.
Raid
For their
Shadow Legends.
no Genshin Impact for their other game. They're like, hey, love
What?
the videos, and I'm like, have you actually seen my videos, bro?
They watched
Like,
one. Video, dude.
Yeah,
No, what's our other game? Like
Honkai-
Gambling Simulator 2019.
Honkai Impact. So it's very similar combat, but it's stages, like different stages. So it's not like an open world game as much. So it was kind of predecessor of Genshin Impact. And then they were like, hey, let's and it's kind of futuristic. It's more like cyber, like kind of cyber style. But anyways, I don't think I'm gonna get that one because
Yeah, good.
you're my video today.
Or you're still start doing that.
Yeah, start milking that game.
absolutely blow up for a month and then quit again.
Knowing me. But one of the reasons why I'm quitting, because I know there's a lot of people in the chat that are probably wondering, you came from the video, it's because of the Genshin Impact price increase. So someone was talking about it in the chat here, how
The Brazil example was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
60% of the average Brazilian monthly income is what it costs to do the biggest package of wishes. Like if you want to get a 5-star character, you're giving away half of your income for a month.
Holy
That's
cow.
insanity. And the issue is it's actually increased from where it was. Now with MiHoYo as the company, but with EA, we'll talk about that later. With Apple, apparently in the Apple Store, there is some differences between exchange rates as well as some policy changes that led to not like a 5% increase, not a 10% increase. We're looking at up to 80% increase in
That's
the
bonkers.
cost of purchasing wishes in game, going from $100, relatively in US to $150, $160, $180 relative. That is insanity. And on top of that, there's major issues with the exchange rate. So in Canada, it's 140 for wishes, but the exchange rate would actually put it to about 131, 132. And that happens everywhere. In Russia, they're getting, these exchange rates where it's like 5 or even 10% off of what it really should be. And there comes into question, where is this money going? We're getting charged all this money for the Apple Store and for buying this stuff. And then on top of it, that's not even the correct exchange rate. So where the heck are these profits going? Because you guys made $250 million. How much of that is little 2% here, 3% here, 4% here? Because when you got 1 million people buying stuff and you take a little 2%, that adds up really quick.
It's like how people say, like, hey, if you're gonna get your money exchanged, a currency exchange, like a common tip will be, hey, don't do it in the airport.
Right.
Don't do it. Go to a bank and do it before you go to the airport, because in the airport they'll slip in an extra few percent, and that can matter, right? You think you're getting a couple $1,000 and they rip off an extra $100 or $50 or whatever. It really can matter, and I think that's what they're doing. They're just hoping that no one notices these extra few percent. Like no one is going to go check the exchange rate, and they're just pocketing a few more percent than they should.
Yeah.
It's messed.
And that, I mean, even if you do the math on me, like with my like $7,000 spent, what's 10% of that? $700 in extra,
Again, it's like, do they need to be this greedy? Like, can they not just do the proper exchange rate? Like, why they gotta like, oh, no one will notice an extra few percent. We can get up to $300 million. It's just like, bro, you already made bank.
Yeah.
Stop.
And as we said,
chill.
you'll make more because we're gonna keep playing. Instead,
That's right.
we're out.
Dude, I mean, like if you're in Brazil, I can see a ton of people in Brazil who are enjoying playing the game. They see this price increase, it goes up 80%. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm out." Like, no.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, you just lost that customer.
And it's
it's just such a, and it's I will say also it's so crazy because like this stuff should never happen because these prices are so arbitrary. Like yes, you can somewhat blame Apple because apparently they have something to do with this. They are charging whatever currency, it doesn't matter. But the point is like it's such an arbitrary thing. If I was in charge of Mojo or whatever their name is, MiHoYo Brazil or MiHoYo whatever relations, and I noticed, oh, it went up 80% because of some currency issue. We're going to lower our prices in Brazil by 80% to account for this. Like they can price wishes at whatever they want. Wishes have no real world value. It's not like they're not selling steel, okay? They're selling freaking wishes in a pay to win game. Like you can price those at whatever you want. Like they could offset these problems instantly. But they won't because they're just making an extra dollar or two.
Yeah, that's the thing. When this isn't an actual commodity of some kind that has a real value attached to it, there really is no justification for not manipulating prices to really cater to your audience. In my opinion, I think the obvious thing to do, if you really believe, this is where it concerns me from the outside looking in. I feel like if you really believed in your product, you would want to see it last long term, and you would be taking the steps you need to do and making the investments you need to make in order to guarantee that your player base trusts you, they value your product, they believe in your product, and are ready to commit to you long term. Because that's really what you need. That's really what you need if you want your game to survive. So as somebody from the outside looking in, the way that it reads to me is we're not sticking with this thing long term. We really don't believe in this thing long term. We see dollar signs now. Let's get our dollar signs now when we can, because it's not going to happen next year. And let's get on to our next project. That's how it reads to me from the outside looking in, and that's why it's so concerning.
Which is crazy because I think they potentially did that before with their old game, etc. Right? But I think they maybe didn't realize how good of a game they actually made a good game at its core, and then they introduced all these dumb systems that they probably did previously, and hopefully they kind of do realize like, wait, we actually have something here that we could support long term and add the extra regions and stuff over the years, and this could be a very lucrative and popular game. So let's just chill for a sec.
And to go on that is like in 1.1 update is the day after the Destiny update, and then 1.2 is a new region and new quests in December. And if they nail it and they make some changes, awesome. If they work on the resin system further and they make it better, awesome. And if they turn it into a really good game that I think is good for consumers, I'll go pick up some Genshin Impact again. But I can't promote that game, and I don't even want to play it because it just feels like sus. It feels greedy. And if you look back at Star Wars Battlefield, they first came out with those loot boxes and they were like pay to win. It's like grenade cooldowns and like more damage on your characters. And when they add things in that game where you're playing a PvP game and it's pay to win, people don't want to interact with that. People were pissed about that game. People were absolutely infuriated. And now EA is actually in a lawsuit about other loot box things. These loot boxes are a very big contention point, and that's like one of the core mechanics in Genshin, so it makes sense.
Yeah, well, I guess we're just moving on to the next topic.
Let's do it.
Baby.
Yeah,
let's jump in.
EA's getting sued, baby. So there's a class action lawsuit going on right now within Canada, and it's going after loot boxes. I think particularly it is centered around the FIFA games because those sports games are rated like E for everyone, maybe T for teen, right? Like they are very widely distributed, right? They're played by younger people, and yet they have extremely, I don't want to say predatory, but like they have some loot boxes, like the FIFA, design your own team. I forget where it's called. Like it's like some sort of team thing where it's like
a manager's. It's like your typical
Ultimate
manager
Team,
system.
I think it's called.
Yeah, Ultimate Team.
So you open these packs. It's like opening a pack of cards, and you open this pack, and you get these like players, and that's what it is. And you just build your team out of that. But obviously, like people are trying to open packs and get the best players. Obviously, Lionel Messi has a real low drop rate. You're not just gonna get Messi like first try. Probably you're gonna like get him after $1,000 spent. You know what I mean? So, and then there's the real question of, is this gambling? And if it is gambling in some capacity, that's like people gamble, right? Like that's fine, but it needs to be regulated in that
regulated,
aspect.
and the
So it's
government is heavily involved a lot of times
so
too.
if it is ruled gambling, then
Mm-hmm.
the game can't be T for teen. It needs to be adult or like 18A or mature. Sorry, that's the rating, mature. So that would be a huge deal.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they lose out a ton of sales if their game's rated M.
I mean, they maybe. I honestly think a lot of parents wouldn't even check; they would just pick it up.
You don't think so?
Oh, dude.
I don't know. There's some pretty bad parents out there. Case in point, I forgot my son at school today, so I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm
it
just
really
kidding.
is-
I did.
It really is tough because a lot of times as a parent, when you're on your own devices, hey, we like convenience. We get everything set up in a way that I'm one button push away from purchasing something whenever I want to purchase it. I don't want to have to go in and put my card information in every single time. It's a hassle. But here's the problem. My kids like to use my devices. They do.
Yeah,
My iPad, my
yeah.
phone. And there's games that I download on these devices for my kids to interact with. And you do have to heavily monitor it. I mean, there's times where I got, all right, I tell my son, all right, if you want to play that game, you can sit here next to me on the couch and play it. That's totally fine. But I monitor it. But here's the thing. My son is a human being with his own desires and a brain that functions. So what he does sometimes is, hey, it's 6 a.m. Dad's in bed. Mom's in bed. I'm awake and I feel like playing a game. He's going to come down here. He's going to flip
Sounds like a
open the
real gamer to
iPad,
me.
and he's going to start playing some games. Sometimes I wake up, I come downstairs. There he is. He's playing a video game. And you know what I mean? It's like you cannot have eyes on them at all times of the day.
And he spent
every single moment.
$300 on
And
his
you
Ultimate
don't
Team on
know. I mean,
FIFA.
I've got it set up on a lot of these devices. Well, now
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways that I gotten smart and I can kind of prohibit that stuff and it require a little extra authentication. But I understand that for a lot of parents, it can be a concern when you have the gambling things involved or a way for them that's the game is actively trying to push purchases at them, and you see it with a lot of these mobile games too. And EA is sort of notorious for that. It's always front and center. If you want to make a purchase, they make sure you see that it's a thing you can do.
Actually, hold on really quickly. On top of that, though, is even if it's not the kid necessarily doing it, but if it's in the game, a lot of kids watch YouTube, right? And so, like, that's one of the reasons why I was like, I don't want to show these wishes off anymore for Genshin. Is like, I don't want to really promote the wishes. I think they're scummy. But if all these little kids are
Got 3
watching
million views on those
right,
videos.
right, they're watching these ultimate team character openings, and they're getting all these things. Are these kids gonna go, hey, mom and dad, I want to get a PlayStation card. Mom and dad, I want to get a card so I can get some characters in this game. And then they're going and trying it, and like I can't imagine that that's very good for them, for their brains. And I can't imagine them going and spending, their $25 or $50 card and then getting trash characters. I mean, I guess that's a life lesson for them, but it's a lesson I don't think they shouldn't have to learn it. They shouldn't have to do that.
It's not a life lesson if, like TV said, they don't spend their money. It's just really easy. Like the way it's set up, it's very easy to like trick kids into spending money. Like all the buy now buttons are massive and they're huge and get more players. You know what I mean? Like, so it's going to be interesting because if this lawsuit comes to fruition and if it's classified as gambling, they may have to really take steps. And like, we've kind of seen Activision, there was a similar ruling to this in Europe, and they actually did kind of rule it gambling. And so you see like the new Call of Duty, not Black Ops, but I think potentially Black Ops, but certainly with Modern Warfare, there is no loot boxes in that game at all. Everything is acquired, like you pay for bundles, you have the season's pass. It's actually very transparent, and I would say very fair. Like the new guns are earnable in game, and so they're still making bank, dude. Like if you play Warzone, every freaking guy in there has like the latest skin, right?
Yeah.
Every guy, like they're still making hella bank because I think players, like first of all, it keeps them out of lawsuits, and secondly, I think players are kind of getting fed up with the loot box system. I mean, there's only so many times you can do a wish and then you just don't get, you just like screw it, right? You just leave. Like the whales keep going, but the average players don't. Whereas I think the average players are much more interested in spending $10 for a 6 skin in Modern Warfare and Warzone because they're enjoying it, right?
Well, it's like that those heirloom weapons in Apex. I would never spend to get the packs because it was so rare. But if I could just get the heirloom knife for like $10, I would just buy it. Like
Here's the thing. Apex made a modification of their system
Good.
pretty early on. So here's what they did. As far as legendaries and heirlooms are concerned, they basically built in fail-safes that said there will be a threshold where eventually, if you have spent X number of dollars, we're just going to guarantee that you get a legendary, and we're going to guarantee that you get an heirloom. So it's gambling up to a certain point. Also, what they've done is now, and this is now for the past, like, what, 3 heirlooms at this point? Every time that they bring a new heirloom into the loot pool now, what they do is they bring it in with a new event. And so this new event has all kinds of weapon skins, all kinds of character skins and emotes, just like, I think it's somewhere around like 25 new items that they bring into the loot pool. And they say, here's what we're going to do with this event. You can buy loot boxes that only have these things in them. And once you've collected all 25, we give you the heirloom. So basically what that amounts to is, I think it's around like $100 before you're guaranteed an heirloom. So it's a lot of money, but it is a set price tag, and you can weigh whether or not, do I want to just keep using these loot boxes that you do get for leveling up. You don't have to pay for all the loot boxes. Or do you just want to say, you know what, I play this game all the time. I'm totally willing to dump $100 in to get 25 new skins, emotes, and everything, plus an heirloom for my favorite character. You can do that.
Yep. Right. And I mean, if that's the case, and I could get $100 for D-Luca back in Genshin, I would have done it. Because
that's exactly right.
It took way more. But, like, I there are people that's valuable to them, and they want to enjoy the game that way. But when you have it all luck based, and even in that, right? Because as you're saying, with the heirloom, you can get it guaranteed. But with the pity system, it's just, I can get a character. It's not that character. Well, I guess other than the operate rate banner.
I think another important thing is, like, another thing that's like just important with, like, this whole debate is, like, retained value. So, okay, I apparently, being a professional gamer, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm not in it enough. All right, meeting girls is too easy. So that what I had to do is I had to then get really into Magic cards, Magic the Gathering cards.
Right.
Now, here's the interesting thing, though. So I've bought Magic cards, a lot of Magic cards, and they come in packs, but they actually, like, so that actually, I think, went into court, and they ruled it's not gambling, because the big difference is, so even if you open a Magic card pack or a Pokemon pack or a Yu-Gi-Oh pack, you get physical objects that you can then resell. So if I have cards that I got from packs, like a, $10 pack, $15 pack for Ultimate Masters, I've gotten cards, or no, like a $5 pack, I've gotten, like, special cards that are like $200. So I have increased my value. And again, I have these physical items that I can sell to you, Mtashed, or I can sell to you, TV. But the problem is, like, when we get into games, like, the Call of Duties that used to have loot boxes like Black Ops, and a great example with Genshin, I can't, like, sell a D-Luke. I can maybe sell my account, but
then it gets banned. So it's like, can you?
So it's like these items have no intrinsic value. I cannot get my money back. I'm just sinking money in, and there's no actual value because I can't sell them. And that's, like, a whole other debate. It's like, in CSGO, you can kind of resell certain items if you get lucky.
Right.
So that's a whole nother very interesting kind of can of worms, where it's like, will these games in the future continue to do a loot box system, but then enable, like, trading so that the items you get have intrinsic value and can sometimes get around the gambling thing?
They almost would need to. Because I think that is one of the reasons why it lost in
Europe.
Yeah, in Europe. I think that was, like, one of the key arguments was, well, it's you don't actually own the item, really, like, or you don't have resale on it, and there's no guaranteed odds, and so it's just kind of messed up.
Yeah, and also there's no, like, collection per se, especially when, like, you can collect Magic cards, you can use them whenever. It's like you can kind of use them in a game, but especially with, like, a Call of Duty, when the new Call of Duty comes out, all of those things, all of your loot box items just lose all value. You're not playing that game anymore, and you can't sell them.
The servers might go down, so
they might not even be supported anymore. That's right.
And you literally have no value. It's very, very weird.
You know what the nice thing is, though, is there are some products out there that you can buy and you can enjoy and you can love. And if you're looking for an energy boost while you're studying, gaming, or doing anything else, we're actually sponsored by Advanced GG. We got the shirt there. Kackis is wearing it. RGH is sponsored by Advanced GG. Clinically tested, no sugar added, no calories. This stuff is incredible. Go to advanced.gg, check out some of the products there, and use code RGH. That will support the podcast. We would appreciate it. Also, if you guys want to become a member of the channel, you guys want to become a real gamer, at the end of the stream, we'll be doing a members-only chat where we answer your questions. You have a little bit of one-on-one time with us. So click the join button and consider becoming a real gamer today.
We'll divulge your deepest secrets.
Oh, it gets roasty. It gets juicy.
Yeah, we got a little feisty
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
We were kind of dogging on each
Juicy,
other.
baby. Oh, there's some absolute juice. All right. I guess next topic, which you put these in the wrong order, Mtashed. I told you. I'm just kidding. You can talk about this first. Yeah. Dude, you know what? I'll introduce this again because I'm keeping up with the news and I just tell you guys what to put. I'm really running this podcast behind the shell. Let's be honest.
Really,
guys.
yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna throw a TV after this, but here's the interesting part. Pokimane, huge Twitch streamer, like huge. Pokimane is one of the biggest Twitch streamers out there, and she came out and really interesting said, "Listen, I am gonna make it so that you cannot donate more than $5. $5, that's it." She's like, "Look, I'm pretty financially sound. Like she's got money for
I'm set.
she's never gonna have to worry about money again. Like she has money, but irregardless of that, she came out, she made this thing, say, hey, you can't donate more than $5. That is a huge deal because there has been a lot of cases, and unfortunately, it mainly happens with male viewers, and they get very attached, and they definitely shouldn't, to female streamers. I mean, the whole simp memes have gone out of control, but there is some truth to that where male viewers will get very attached and they'll donate money essentially to get attention, right? And as a result of that, they'll donate money that they really shouldn't be donating, like thousands of dollars, right? I think you guys probably saw there was like someone clipped Twitch comments of people being like, hey, like, did you catch my $1,000 dono? And someone's like, oh yeah, I did. And he's like, yeah, like I won't be able to make rent, but anything for the Pokimane squad, right?
I saw
and
that.
it was like, and the other guy's like, yeah, like my wife's been begging for a vacation, but the squad comes first. And it's like, dude, this is extremely unhealthy behavior. Like go
that's
on a vacation.
cheating. That's cheating on your wife. Like that's
go on a
messed up.
vacation with your wife. Pokimane doesn't need the money, right? But importantly, we're not hating a Pokimane. Pokimane is sitting there and streaming. Like it's not necessarily her fault. You could make the argument that some people are somewhat encouraging this, but again, it gets very nebulous. Like, what can you do to stop it? And it's like, if someone donates you $1,000, it's very easy to say, like, oh, just don't accept that money because they can't afford that. But like, you're not the guy getting $1,000. Like, it could really help. And so, this is a really big statement of saying, like, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm gonna curb this behavior on my own. So huge ups to Pokimane. And this is something that she's doing on her own independently that a lot of people have been kind of asking Twitch to do. Like, hey, Twitch, maybe people shouldn't be able to donate $5,000 or whatever. Like, unless you're Mr. Beast, like that, a lot of the time that's not a healthy thing. It also brings up the issue of like people will do chargebacks. They'll donate a ridiculous amount of money and then just charge it back. And then that can hurt the streamer as well.
There's a lot of nuances here. This is the thing that I look at this situation and I just see there's so many different threads here being pulled. And I think a lot of people just kind of see it at face value, but there's a lot going on here. And a few things worth unpacking. One of them would be Pokimane could be saying with this statement, $5, that's it. She could be saying, listen, I'm tired of being called names. I'm tired of the criticism saying I live off of simps, that I'm not self-made. Listen, I'm a gamer. I'm a personality. I'm an entertainer. That's where my worth is. That's where my value is. If I cap these donations at $5, I can squash all that stuff saying, hey, you live off simps.
Yeah.
Hey, you're trying to get money out of these boys. You know what? I can totally sympathize with a woman in that situation who put in the time, put in the effort, grinded up to where she is in the community, to have the standing she does, the influence she does, and to have the following that she does. I can totally sympathize with someone saying, man, it is so aggravating to me when people undercut my work and say it's all because the simps are paying you money, I would want to get rid of that too. Totally. And if she is as financially sound as she is, why the heck not? Hey, girl, you do that. I can totally sympathize with that.
And
That's one nuance.
It's such a middle finger to all the people criticizing her for that, because like this destroys their argument. Like you're done. You can't say Pokimane is like preying on Sims when she does this. Like she just completely turned that on its head, which is like good for her. She's recognizing that, hey, people don't have this money to donate. I'm just gonna eliminate that want, and I'm gonna like make it a lot more fair and healthy for a lot of people.
And did you have another facet you wanted to hit, Ryan?
Oh, there's a lot of different nuances to
His
this.
tons,
There's a lot of that we just briefly touched on. Another aspect of it could be her saying, listen, I want to make sure people are going to be responsible with their money. I'm set. I don't need it. I want you to invest it elsewhere. I want you to invest it in other creators. That's another whole nuance of it. Maybe it's all about she wants to protect her viewers when and where she can. Another aspect is, and I've seen this, I mean, just as a content creator, I can't pretend to really understand what it's like for her as a female creator, because that's not me. But even as a male creator, I've had times in the past where I've had people drop $1,000 donations. I've had people drop $3,000 donations, and you're overwhelmed. You say, "Oh, thank you so much. That's extremely generous." And then there's inevitably a follow up. There's a follow up where somebody is expecting something in return. Hey, man, hey. They won't specifically, oftentimes they won't specifically say, hey, I donated $2,000 last week, and today I would really like to get a trials carry. But that has happened to me, where someone donated 4 figures and then the next week came by and said, I know you're doing raffles. I'd love to play with you. Can I get in? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you're remembering, oh my gosh.
I was just trying to help you out, TV. Come on, bro. I need that trials carry.
They're trying to leverage it for something in exchange. And that's the thing. Like, even as somebody doing taxes, that changes the way that you report that income because it's no longer a donation, it's a transaction. I mean, there's a lot of things about that change when that dynamic changes. It's not a donation, it's a transaction, it's different. And I can totally understand, as a woman creator, just being really nervous every time I got a big donation and just wondering, what's the follow-up gonna be?
Can I touch on that too? Because I'm wondering, if you're physically limiting their ability to donate more, I can imagine people just wouldn't be as attached to that $5 donation. If someone is getting into the mindset where they're looking at this multimillionaire and thinking, I want to give her $1,000 of my money, it's not because she needs it. It's because you want that attention. And I can imagine that this curbs a lot of creeps, a lot of stalking. There is a lot of stalking that goes on in the Twitch community. There's been a lot of stories that have been going out where there's people that are, they get infatuated with these content creators. And if you are putting that hard limit, you're almost taking away one opportunity for someone to cross that emotional boundary or that emotional line or their own mental line, right? They start thinking about it like, oh, I want to maybe save up this money. And then they go get, they do save the money and then they finally donate it. Like, it's a whole process I can imagine someone going through, because getting $1,000 to donate is not just something that everyone does unless they live in Dubai and they're an oil baron or something like that, right? Yeah. And so,
it is something that's so good. Like, I want to express, like, to the viewers watching, like, I don't think you guys realize like how in a lot of cases more difficult some certain female streamers have it. Like, a lot of people give them a lot of flack. I'm not going to mention who, but we met some female streamers, a female streamer we got along with quite a while at like an EA thing, me and you, Tash, and she's like telling stories of her stalker, and it's like, Jesus. It's like,
we don't even know that. Like,
it's like you're not even close to Pokimane level, and don't mean that as an insult, but it's like, and you have a stalker. It's just like so intense. And
you go to an event and get approached by a new person that you just met, and it that. Like,
and then they want a hug and a big hug because they donated $1,000 or something weird. It's very like people just cross the line a lot, and like you said, like they do that dono, and then like God forbid you miss the dono. I've seen a lot of that where people donate like $1,000 or $3,000, and the streamer like just happens to go to the bathroom at that time or doesn't see or is gaming hard and doesn't pay attention. And then they get furious that they like missed that dono. And that's an unhealthy thing too.
That happened to me. This dude donated like $2 a couple times because he was asking me questions that I was, I have commands for. Like I answered it, and I just missed him. It was during that crazy sub thing. So even the alerts were going like crazy. Like I couldn't. I just missed him. I missed him. He charged back. He charged back all 3. And these big messages. He scammed me. I donated to get an answer to this question, and he wouldn't answer. Yada yada yada. Now imagine the guy that donates $1,000 and it gets missed, right? Yeah. That guy's
he doesn't get what he wanted out of it,
right? That is nuts. So it is a big step, and I mean I hope it pays off. And maybe more people donate $5 because they're like, hey, whatever, let's all support her. That's a cool thing. Maybe it's a net win.
I hope more big streamers follow suit, like Shroud, Ninja, Dr. Disrespect. Y'all don't need those $1,000 donate. You know what I mean? Like limit it to. You could even limit it to $1,000. Limit it to $500. And it's one of the. And we're not saying this for the small streamers. If you're a small streamer, Mr. Beast comes in and donates $10,000 to you. That's gonna make your life. Like it's gonna change your life. It's the people who are extremely big, and like we said, that kind of brings all these negative things with it. They're not so much donating to support the streamer. If you're a smaller streamer or a medium streamer, $1,000, you could legitimately, like you said, be some oil baron and have a ton of money and legitimately be sending them $3,000 because you have the money and you enjoy their content. It's as simple as that. But once you get to those levels, like Pokimane level, where she's so financially set and everyone knows that, then those expensive donations really are extremely more likely to be, like we've stated, for attention, for favors. There's a lot of not so good things associated with it.
That's right. And unfortunately, I mean, a lot of people do want to. It's easier to believe that stuff doesn't happen. I know it is, but I can tell you just from the times being at conventions. I mean, I remember a particular female streamer like literally running away to the VIP room and staying there for half of the day during the convention because she was scared because a certain person showed up and was getting a little too comfortable. And it's terrifying. And I feel so terrible for these women who have to deal with that. It really is. I mean, even as a true story, this is even as a guy, it has happened. True story. At one of the Guardian cons.
Wait, this is between us, bro. Like, hey.
I had to go to the restroom. I go there. I'm literally standing at the urinal just doing my thing. And this guy walks up and he's standing right, just like, like with his head like right next to me. He's like, hey man, I just wanted to let you know that I'm just a huge fan of your content. And I'm like, bro, can you maybe wait? Like,
yeah.
And one of the guys in the restroom was washing his hands, is like looking over like, is this really happening? And he was like, dude, can you leave him alone? Like he actually stood up for you, which I really appreciate. He was like, hey, can you back off and let the man do his business?
He's helping you shake, bro. Like, what?
Like, can you like maybe not?
He's like comes up, like puts his head on your shoulder. He's like, I got some ideas for content.
You should make a video.
No, he puts his head on there and goes, nice undies. Oh man. It is. It's and I hope that I just hope that this culture can change, because I think there's a lot of men out there that really need some lessons on like how to treat people with respect and actually oh man, I hate when I want to bring something up and I just kind of forget their name. We'll circle back to it if I remember. Let's jump on with another Twitch thing though, because
all that being said, you can still simp and donate $1,000 to the RGH podcast. We'll take it.
We'll
be okay.
But Twitch once again seeming very desperate on trying to monetize this platform, and I don't know what that says. God. But it is another thing that they're doing. They want to monetize this platform so bad. So what they're doing is, if you do have an ad blocker, what ends up happening is about every 10 minutes, they stop the stream and a screen comes up and says, hey, it appears you have a third-party program running. You'd better turn it off. And it's really disruptive. So if I've got viewers that have an ad blocker, it's ruining the experience for them, but they continually are trying to put their hands in the pockets and get all the money. Are they struggling financially? Is Bezos looking at Twitch and be like, you better profit or you're done? Because this is getting desperate. It's unending. They just
So
it's
big.
week after week after week after week after week. And maybe that, I mean, any smart business should be doing this realistically, right? Why wouldn't you want to profit if you have this huge platform? Of course. But it seems
I disagree with that.
It seems desperate though. Like it's constant every week there's something.
I disagree with that. It's like at some point you got to think of the user experience, and also Twitch has so many ways to monetize. It's like, yes, someone watching may have an ad blocker on, but then they donate bits, or then they celebrate, or then whatever, right? Because they're having a good experience, and then you make that revenue back. Whereas if you're interrupting someone's experience all the time and they're just like, screw it, I'm gonna leave, you get nothing. You get nothing from them.
Yeah, that's true. Because are you gonna get dedicated enough to a stream to sub if you keep getting interrupted every minute?
They already take 50% of sub revenue. They already take 50% of celebrations. They take however many of bits. Like they already got their hand in every
20%?
pocket.
Is it 20%? I don't know.
Of sub, I thought it was 50% of subs. It doesn't matter.
No, I mean a bit when you buy bits up front.
The point is like the person is less likely to donate bits because they're less likely to be sticking around and having a good time if you're kicking them off the platform.
I don't know, man. And Mike, you asked the question: is this a desperate play? Like, at what point do we start to ask the question: are they hurting? You know, it's easy to say they're owned by Amazon. They've got all the money they want, and it's easy to look at some of the viewership they pull in and say, "Hey, listen, the revenue flow is there. They got revenue. They're generating revenue. They have income." But where's the spending? You know, is there another side of Twitch that we don't see? Where are they investing their capital? Where does their capital go? If they are consistently this year, consistently week after week after week, coming after your money in more new creative ways,
they're spending. They're developing the sombreros to put on emotes for the Latino month, bro. That's what they're doing. That's what their revenue went to.
They're trying to hire new people every week because all the other people are such idiots. That's why they have to keep replacing it.
I don't know. Maybe they're just too loose with their cash. I don't know. I mean, the only experience I've ever had with Twitch staff, they literally walked into the room and they're like, "We're buying everybody dinner." And I was like, okay, sure. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to buy the drinks." That's the only experience I've ever had with Twitch staff is they came into a really pricey restaurant. We're like, "It's all on us." Well, and it's like, I wonder, does that mentality go through the whole, I don't know.
And it's kind of weird. Like, and I love her. I love her. Lil Sia, one of the best creators out there. But they threw like multiple, like, they gave her like a Switch and like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, so like if that's one creator, it's kind of like the Xbox thing. Like there's like all these people getting Xboxes, and it's like how much money are they spending on like giving out these gifts, and like what's the return on investment on some of this stuff? And the big one is return on investment of smaller content creators. Now, that's not to say that smaller content creators aren't valuable, but if you look at how many people are using a bandwidth on Twitch with 0 viewers, not generating ad revenue, not getting subs, could that be a problem where they're bleeding tons of money on server and bandwidth costs? I don't know how much. I don't know how expensive it is.
I genuinely don't think they're in money trouble. I think they're just incredibly greedy. Like I think like they just lost a huge competitor, right? They lost Mixer. The Mixer poached their best guys, and they got them back for free. Like they're in a great spot right now. The only main competitor now, well, they have Facebook and they have YouTube as main competitors, but like I can't imagine that they're doing poorly financially. They're like the biggest name in streaming. I think this is just greed. Like whoever is at the top of the CEO or whoever's in charge just wants a little bit more, and it's like those people who are watching, you know, with an ad blocker. But the thing is, like, I was watching a VOD, and dude, I almost installed an ad blocker because I was like, I tended not to have one because I'm like, well, I make money from people who don't have ad blockers. Like I can't, but I was watching a Twitch VOD. It was like a Magic the Gathering tournament. So it was long, hours long. And it was like an ad every 5-10 minutes. And the Twitch ads are so bad. It's like The Boys season 2 for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm like, bro,
no, it's the whole season, bro. They do the whole season. You have to watch the whole episode.
I don't need to know about The Boys season 2 for 90 seconds. Like, please get this out of here. Like, at least on YouTube, like people always bitch about YouTube ads, but like 90% of YouTube ads are like 5-second skippable ads. It's
Yeah.
like calm down, dude. Go watch traditional TV. It's like a 2-minute ad block, but like Twitch is close to that 2-minute ad block just with The Boys season 2 stuff. It's like calmed. It was so obtrusive, and it just totally took me out of the experience. I was like, I can't even watch a single match. I get like 10 ads in this. So it's like Twitch, you're encouraging people to get ad blockers because you're doing all this crazy intrusive ads.
So here's the other thing of the other side of it. It could be, not necessarily that Twitch is struggling financially and they need to make it the money. The other side of it too is that there are companies that want to advertise through them are saying, man, our ads are getting skipped. Like we're just not seeing as much of a payoff here as we wanted to. We're running the numbers. It just doesn't seem to check out. Like they could be feeling that pressure too on their relationship with the companies that they partner with. Not necessarily that Twitch is hurting for money, but that the advertisers are not seeing the revenue from, they're not seeing the benefit from their ads they're running as much as they would like to. That's the other side of it.
That's very true. Like
so
they're making these changes to retain what they have, not to gain more almost.
You guys might be right. But the funny thing is the lesson is that Coca-Cola or whoever should learn that their ads are trash, bro. Like I don't want to watch a bunch of people be enlightened and like feel alive after drinking a Coca-Cola. Like, and then they dance on the street. I know that shit doesn't happen. Like, I don't want to see a bunch of people start dancing on the street because they drank Coca-Cola. I don't want to see like, a gazelle turn into a car and it's a Mazda MX-5 commercial. Like that doesn't make any sense, bro. Like just like these advertising companies, traditional ads are trash. They're terrible. They don't motivate a lot of sales, right? And so their they could be like literally pressure from them. Like, oh, everyone's skipping our ad. No one's watching our ad because your ad sucks. Like look at Doritos and other companies are making actually funny, relatable ads that people will go and search up Doritos ads from years ago.
That's because they're turning ads into content. That's what they've done. That's the new model that actually works. Is they're turning ads into content,
100%.
into entertainment,
and it works and it kills. But no, whoever the people at Coke are just like more dancing in different streets. Like that's what the people love, and they're like everyone's skipping our ads, and they're like now throwing their weight around Twitch. I think that really could be a big issue. Is that they're getting pressure from these big advertisers.
Shoot, I just got a text from our agent. Coca-Cola pulled out. They don't want to sponsor the show anymore. I don't know why.
What?
I don't know why, guy.
We were gonna make the content. We were gonna make people buy it. Like, come on, bro.
Dude, listen, give me some Coke. Give me some Coke and like, I don't know, a few $1,000s. I'll make a better Coke ad than like the $50,000. No, than the like $50 million you're spending on your stupid like marketing budget. Like I guarantee I'll make a more entertaining ad. It's like,
do you know who did that?
So bad, dude.
Do you know who did that? Is Casey Neistat with the Nike thing. They're like, hey, here's I think it was $15,000 or $20,000, make an ad. And he's like, okay. And he flew around the world and he's like, I'm just gonna go around the world and film all the locations. And he just ran across the screen, and then it was like, just do it, just because you can, just do it. And it was like a super cool ad.
I love how that was framed as like I took their money and ran around. Like they knew he was going to do that. Like 100% they approved it. But that's a great thing. It's like you give it to actually creative people and not these like dregs in the marketing studio. And you can actually just I don't want to watch 90 seconds of The Boys season.
Okay, we get it. All right. Speaking of The Boys season 2, are sequels dead? That's the big burning question here. Are game sequels dying out? And we wanted to touch on this actually because of RuneScape. RuneScape just broke a player base record. We're looking at 13 years after the release of RuneScape 2. Old school RuneScape has been out for quite a while, multiple years now, but they have a new event that came out and they hit the highest player base they've pretty much ever seen. They didn't change anything, new graphics, new anything, really. They just added a fun little event into the game, and it absolutely blew up. I guess you could say that is new content, but they did try to make almost a sequel. They did try to reinvent the wheel, and their player base died. It absolutely tanked. We see Call of Duty making a new Call of Duty every year. There's been, 6 Halos now? And the player bases aren't necessarily going up. In some cases, they retain them, and some hits are bigger than others. But it almost seems like the future is holding on to what works and building on it.
And
Yeah.
more examples, Rainbow Six Siege, still going strong. Destiny 2, we're about to go into our 4th year. And the rumors are, I think this is pretty much factual at this point, that Activision wanted them to make a Destiny 3, right? But they were like, no, we got to fix D2. We did Forsaken. And, potentially what is now Beyond Light was originally envisioned by Activision, at least, to be Destiny 3. So it's like, is the moments of sequels over? And now we're just going to create a game and keep building on it.
Yeah. Apex Season 7 launching literally in, what time is it? It is
Now o'clock.
10 o'clock. So in an hour, Apex Season 7 goes live. It's just this, these companies have started to notice something, and it's that it's a real challenge to make a sequel, because when you find something that works and it worked really well and you want to expand on it and you want to make a sequel, what has been the model ever since we were kids was, all right, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's start at ground zero. We have to build all new assets. We have to build all new environments. We have to now start to make inquiries with all these companies about what's the PC tech going to look like in 2-3 years. Development is slow. It takes a long time to make content. It's really hard as you're trying to create something so that it will be relevant in the future when you don't know what the tech is going to look like. Are we going to be on next gen consoles? What's the hardware on those consoles going to look like? What are some realistic expectations we can set for 3 years from now? It's a real challenge. But now it also comes with that is things like hiring processes. What kind of talent do we need to hire on? Because it's all so far in the future. It's a real crapshoot. It's a tough industry because of that. But now companies are starting to say, these developers are starting to say, listen, we can make content for next year. And we have a pretty good, reasonable expectation about what the hardware is going to look like, what we should expect for performance, and how we should develop this game. It's much more realistic. You take something you already got, the assets you already have, and you modify them slowly over time instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, 3 years down the road. It's a real challenge. So I think this is the new model. I think this is going to start to be the new standard, except for when it comes to things like solo, like single player story content. I think single player story content is going to continue around that sequel model. It just makes more sense. But for most games, like especially the popular games right now, which are MMOs and battle royales and games like Destiny and Apex, like this seasonal model is it.
Yeah.
And then look at because we just said it, is Apex. It's essentially Titanfall. It's the same engine, like it's the same mechanics, some of the same guns, right? So if you look at the awesome game that Apex is, because they used assets from the first game, and how quickly, relatively, to turn around and make that, I don't know exactly when it went into development. Did they start developing it after Titanfall 2 fully launched? But if you have a game that works, and you've got all these models, that's probably what? 80-90% of the development time is creating that game and making it work. And then if you look at a game like Destiny with all the lore, I was actually talking to Christopher Barrett, and I just kind of asked him, I was like, if you were to make another game in the universe, how much time do you think it would save just because you have all the lore? You have all the characters and enemies created, and you'd obviously have to like do new artwork and everything, but like the world already exists. And he couldn't give me a firm number, but with the lores created, when you've got the animations, you've got the physics engine created, you can just keep churning out really good content and progress on what people like. I mean, how many expansions are there of Skyrim? How many expansions of Skyrim? How many expansions of Final Fantasy Realm Reborn, like the new MMO, right? They're just building on what works, and people keep on playing because that's what they like. They want more of it. They don't want a new game. They don't want you to remake it and refix it. They just want more of it.
You can also now kind of continue a game through. We're watching Destiny continue through a console transition, right? Like the next gen version of Destiny 2, it's still the same game, but it's going to get 60 FPS on the new consoles. It's going to get a field of view slider. Traditionally, you kind of see those developments in a sequel. Destiny 3, for the next gen consoles had these features, but now they can just get the same game and make those improvements with the same game. We're seeing a darkness subclass again. Traditionally, that would be Destiny 3 is introducing the darkness subclasses, but now it's like, well, why do we need a sequel? We have to restart everything, and everyone loses all of their character progress that they're attached to when we could just build onto the existing game.
It all goes back to me. I always just think of this this age old analogy, this story that people tell, and who knows where it actually came from, but there's always this story they tell. Well, when I was growing up, my mom, she would take the Christmas ham, and she would cut off the sides of it and put it in the pan and bake it. So when I was an adult, I grew up, and I'd get a Christmas ham and I'd cut off the sides of it and I'd put it in the pan and I'd bake it. And my husband said, "Hey, why do you bake it that way? Why do you cut off all this good meat on the sides of it?" She's like, "I don't know. My mom always did it." So I called my mom up, and my mom said, "Well, my pan was too small, so I had to cut off the sides and the meat." And she's like, "Here, I've been cutting off all this meat." The story is there to illustrate sometimes you do things because it's traditional, but you don't understand why it's tradition. It's tradition because there were limitations in place back then that kept you from doing certain things. And so these companies right now are living in an age where those limitations that existed 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, don't exist anymore. And they have new options on the table. So doing things that you would typically see as advancements you would only get in a sequel, hey, they can do those things right now to a live game. They can make those updates. They can make those changes. The hardware exists not just on their side with the tech, but also on the player side for their tech. And so those limitations don't exist anymore. This whole sequel model, it doesn't need to exist. And so people who are resisting that change maybe need to be a little bit more open-minded to the seasonal model, because a lot of people see it as like an attempt at grabbing cash, but it's not. It's really just the developer saying, hey, this is just the most convenient way we can continue to expand this universe in a timely fashion for you guys and keep you plugged into our world.
And is the age of endless sequels dying off? I mean, Call of Duty still does it, but have you noticed Assassin's Creed has kind of taken its foot off the gas, and now they're a lot more spaced apart, right? It's every 2 years. It used to be in a new Assassin's Creed every year, and now there hasn't been one since Odyssey, I believe, right? And now there's Valhalla, the new one, and there's a lot of hype around it. And so by just taking their foot off the gas and having this game that's a little bit more long lasting, I think they've kind of rejuvenated that series quite a bit. And there's just so many games that just used to have a yearly release that really didn't need one. And yeah, we're kind of seeing that going away.
And Terraria has been putting out all these free updates. Terraria is one of the most sold games in the world. It outsells some Mario games. Terraria is shockingly high on the list of top sold games. And they've been continually putting out free updates. And every time there's a new update, it just gets more valuable. It's the same $10 it's always been, or whatever it is. And you look at it, it's like, damn, this game is really deep. And if you bought it a long time ago, you can always return to it and enjoy it. But I find when you hard reset and you make that new game, there's just a lot of people that go, I'm done. I had my fun. I'm not going to try again. I don't want to rebuild. And I can't imagine the amount of people that quit just from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2.
Oh, God.
And
So
even from expansion to expansion, because they're like, no, you sunset my gear, I'm done. I can imagine it's a very large percentage of players.
I mean, and also you have the worry of what happened with Destiny 2 is that you try to reinvent the wheel too much and it doesn't go well.
It doesn't have the identity anymore. It doesn't have that fun factor. They turned it into a different game. And so are you building a game for your audience and making them love the game more? Or are you building it for an audience that probably won't like it anyways? So it's tough. But is there anything else you guys wanted to add onto this, or should we go into dark mode?
I think it's time. What we do here on the Real Gamer Hour is we're going to change it to members only chat. Now, if you're not a member, by all means, feel free to stick around. But if you are a member, then you can ask us a bunch of questions. We're going to take questions from the stream and answer them. And this is where things get wild. As you see, True Vanguard poured another glass of whiskey I might have another beer brought up. Who knows?
A Breer. You don't need another
I'll have another Breer
Breer.
coming
Can't even say it.
But it's wild times. And if you want to become a member, there is a link that's going to be posted in the chat. Support the channel. Basically, it all goes to firstly our editor, secondly our designer for
your bank account.
I was gonna say the designer for the member emojis and stuff, and then thirdly my bank account so I can get my Lamborghini. So if you want to donate to my Lamborghini fund, that is a huge issue for me, certainly. And I'll pick these other two guys up one time. Like,
Do you promise?
Yeah, I'll
Hey,
pick you up.
First and foremost, y'all, thank you so much to all of our viewers, whether you're a member or not. We do genuinely appreciate all of you guys who show up on these Wednesday nights to hang out with us for the live show. Y'all give us the energy we need to enjoy the show as much as we do. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and don't leave, because there's lots of fun memes and stuff. So even if you can't type in the chat, we just like to make sure we give back to the members that are supporting the channel. Just a little bit more kind of one-on-one time with us, or 3-on-1, if you know what I'm saying. But still, come hang out. Make sure you're following. Make sure you hit the notification bell, just so that when you see our podcasts, you can jump in and watch.
How's it? I'm drinking whiskey. I'm the only one not slurring words here.
Anyone not slurring words here?
Okay, boom. Let's do this. So,
Boom.
who's got some hot gamer questions for us?
Someone actually asked a question before. It is a member. It says, "Where Mord Sith, who became a real gamer today, asks where the heck are the new emotes?" We actually do. We are still collecting some good ideas. We want to do something like whiskey themed for sure. We got to have an emote of me interrupting people. Apparently, that'll fly. Yeah. You know
It's
what?
like Kackis with a stop sign.
Yeah.
We might just do like one of these too, like a.
Oh God.
Well, why not? I mean, we're plugging it.
It's gonna be except it'll be my flavor.
Ooh, wait, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, leak.
Oh, don't say nothing.
Really quickly, I wanted to just do a shout out here. Drake Duncan became an elite gamer right at the start, right at the very start of the stream. Elite gamer Duncan. Mord Sith, new membership today. Rodeo, $50 donation. Quick PSA: you're all beautiful. Stay safe. $50 donation, brother. D Mendez with the $10. This is a very welcome distraction. Hey, glad to be here. I know it's kind of crazy times right now. Tim McCool with a new membership, and D Mendez with another $5. Single player games have sequels like God of War, Star Wars Fallen Order, but multiplayer games appear to be phasing them out. Do you think that's because when you get rid of, or when you make a new game, the player base struggles and then the quality of the game struggles? You know what I mean? Like if you can't find matches in PUBG, it's not going to be as good of an experience. Like if you're making PUBG 2, do you just kill the other game? Where someone might go back and play old God of War. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It doesn't. It's not relative. The enjoyment is not relative to when you play it. That's why it's like people are so rattled over Cyberpunk being delayed. Which obviously, like if you book time off, that's annoying as heck. But it's like whenever it comes out, it's single. You can just enjoy that the same whenever it comes out. It's not like, or if you can't play it, right? Like you don't need to book time off for this. You don't need to get Cyberpunk when it releases. You can get it a week later and still have the same experience. Whereas if you do that with Destiny, you're going to be pretty far behind, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Ricky in chat asks, "Hey, are any of you planning on doing a 24-hour stream when Beyond Light comes out? Something like that?" I don't do 24-hour streams. I got a wife and 2 kids, and I suffer from really bad migraines if my sleep schedule gets disrupted, even for like one night. So I have to have consistency. So that's not part of my playbook. But Mtashed, on the other hand, is a real grinder.
I'm not doing that long, no. When we did the raid race, my hands started like not functioning properly.
Bro, Kackis was like, "Let's keep going." He was ready. He was ready to see it through.
I'm gonna be playing. I'll play a whole 24 hours. And if I don't beat it in the first day, I'm playing, and I'll beat it on the 25th hour, and then I'm just gonna go and make the guide right after that. Yeah. I'm up for like 35 hours all the time, dude.
I guess you kind of have to get that video out. I actually, I'm not gonna
whatever it takes.
I'm never making a raid guide ever again. I don't think I'm never doing a quest guide either. They don't work for my channel. People just don't care. They want to watch someone who's actually good at it, like this guy.
Kackis.
So subscribe to him.
Kackis's guides. If you're in for the guides, check out Kackis.
Yeah, it's nice.
sure.
It's gonna be so nice to actually have guides to make, like content to make guides on. I hope there's actually some complication to the exotic quest. It's not like kill 40,000 dregs and then you get it. It's like, okay.
But I mean, to get the new classes unlocked, the fragments for them. What do the fragments do? New rate, like there's a lot of stuff there. New
I know, I'm
exotics,
excited.
like it's gonna be pretty wild.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Do you
Steve
think?
in chat.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna move on to a new question. So
Yep.
if you have something to add on the topic.
No, go.
Okay, Steve in chat, he asked, what do you think can be done about the increase in cheating in mini games? Is it purely a tech problem? That's really is a tough question. One that I don't have the capacity to answer myself. That is not my wheelhouse. I know I can recognize that it's a problem, but as far as fixes go, that ain't anything I know anything about.
We have suggested though to sue the absolute crap out of someone who makes it or someone who has it, to send a message.
That's right.
You're all tough until Activision lawyers are knocking on your door, and then suddenly it wasn't worth those headshots. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting because like the tech to make the cheating is advancing, but you'd also think that the tech to shut it down would too. But we're almost like at a pinnacle. Maybe that the technology to create these cheats has really excelled, and they haven't kept up because it hasn't been a problem. You know, even look at 5 years ago. Was there that much cheating in games where it's like all over the place? Maybe not. I don't think so. I mean, there hasn't been cheating in League of Legends, really. There hasn't been any major cheating in Halo back in the day, really. Maybe a odd rigged up Xbox here and there, but I find it's a lot more like PUBG had cheaters, and Activision's games are having cheaters right now. Destiny's now having cheaters.
The problem is when something's free to play, there's no real repercussions. So the best way, and this is really unfortunate because gamers lose, but the best way to deter cheaters is to make people pay for your game and to pay for the new content. Unfortunately,
or you pull like one of the I think it happens. I know it happens in like China. I don't know about South Korea, but they literally link your account to your social insurance number. So if you cheat, they ban your account and you can't play. And if you want to play again, you have to break the law and use someone else's social insurance number. Like it's insane. That's a little bit controlling.
That's crazy.
But
that's crazy.
I'm wondering if at least
little bit.
I mean, that's crazy. but maybe at least some way of pinging their computer or IP a little bit better. I know that there's VPNs and stuff, but like track these guys down because they're making 500 accounts. Like it's insanity.
Yeah,
it is.
I honestly think internet this is kind of related, kind of not related, but internet PIs are on the rise.
Yeah,
like there's I know for a fact that some of the conversations I've had with other content creators specifically, but internet PIs exist and they're kind of expensive, but they're really good at what they do. They know how to find people on the internet. It's scary, but it is possible to track people based on just their posts on the internet. It is kind of crazy, but I don't know how legal or ethical that is, so I don't deal with that.
Right.
But I know those people exist.
I mean, they must have tracked down. Bungie must have tracked down whoever owned that Perfect Aim site, because like again, they probably didn't just get an email on their like Gmails from Bungie. They probably
There's probably no way to contact them. Frankly,
they probably got like a letter at their address, which is why they freaked out.
Oh no!
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Alex, welcome to the Real Gamers. Thank you so much. Vodka as well. We genuinely appreciate y'all choosing to become members.
Appreciate it. You guys are so cute. With all the trash happening on Twitch, I'm done supporting the platform. I'm sure that I'm not the only one. Do you think they care to keep leaving users, or do you think they care? I mean, voting with your viewership, voting with your wallet. It does matter long term. It's just there's so many people that still watch it. I mean, there's people like me that still stream on the platform. I know that there's a lot of problems, but it's a diversity thing where I want, my content on YouTube, but I also want another place to stream. But every day that Twitch does something, I'm looking at YouTube and I'm like, damn, I already have an audience there. Maybe I just go all in on YouTube. Or maybe I look at Facebook and it's like, damn, they're making some progress too in these ways. And it's, you know, they're gonna have to do better long term. Competition in the market is always going to be something very important, and you know, unfortunately, Mixer is gone, so that's one less person. But the other competition, YouTube and Facebook, are doing much better as the years go on. So Twitch can't be complacent.
Which is, I don't know, Mixer going away is like so funny to me because their like only strategy was just steal everyone from Twitch. It's like such an interesting thing. They're like, what if you just took all
What
the
if we
main
just
people
take their
from Twitch?
talent?
Yeah, and it kind of worked, but like obviously, like I don't think they're making the money that they would need to recuperate these costs of these insane contracts they were paying these people. So
I mean, and
I know, it's
those
such
those
an
people
interesting one.
they got paid. Like they got those
Oh my
contracts.
God.
I feel bad for the people that had 500 followers, that had 4,000 followers. They're getting 30 viewers. They're like, I'm going to go on the new platform. I'm going to make my name. And they did. They did make their name. And then it all got ripped away from them.
I feel so bad for those people.
Because it's like, okay, some of them went to Twitch and they just automatically got partnered. And same with Facebook. Your audience, you're going to get 10% of them. Because, I mean, even look at Ninja. Look at Shroud. When they're streaming, they're getting a fraction of what they had. And so when you're even smaller, it's going to be even worse. The chances that anyone follows you is like...
They weren't getting that much on Mixer is the thing. They lost a lot of their Twitch audience by going to Mixer.
No, that's what I'm saying, is they only got like a percentage of it.
Yeah, I think they thought more people would follow, and they just didn't.
Yeah, they go where it's comfortable. They go where they're used to it. The culture is different, right? You go on Mixer, and it was like, oh, it's so positive. Where in Twitch chat, it's like, you know, emotes all day.
I can speak as someone who's received a contract. It's no secret. I'm under contract with Facebook. I had a great following on Twitch, over 100,000 followers, 125,000 followers on Twitch. Great subscribership, great viewership. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But it gets exhausting as a content creator. You're always on the grind. There is no rest. You are constantly trying to keep your momentum, because if you lose out on momentum, it's serious. It's a serious hit to your revenue. And as somebody that has, I'm the sole provider for income for my family, for my wife and my children. When somebody comes to me and they say, we will pay you this number of dollars every single month to come over here and stream on our platform, and this isn't a 1-year deal, we're going to talk about year 2. We're going to talk about year 3. I can tell you that there is rest in that. And even though the potential to continue to grow and make more money is great, on your current platform, it is so nice to be able, it is awfully tempting as a content creator to be like, listen, I can chill a little bit and rest in the safety of knowing when I go to this platform and I stream the set number of hours I need to do, I'm going to get paid no matter what. Even if I get no subscribers, no donations, none of that stuff, I'm going to get paid. That is so nice. And I will never fault the guys that went to Mixer, even if they now have a smaller viewership than they did before they left. I understand that's part of the process. I'll never fault those guys for saying, listen, for a year, I can just take that stress away.
If I knew I could just jump on for 40 hours a week, those streams would be so good in comparison to what they are now. Because that's like, this is the time slot, like I do my Monday to Friday, and then I'm off for the weekend knowing I have a salary. I'd be a way better content creator. But they're not gonna do that, and maybe you have to prove that you are worth that money. I mean, you've proven that you're the best. That's all there is to it. There's other people like us. And they're just like, we don't give a shit what you do. We don't even care if you're on the platform. I'll ban you twice. Once on YouTube, once on Twitch, Mtashed.
You say we've proven our worth, but we're such bums, dude. We're the only content creators in the world, apparently, who haven't gotten the new Xbox or the new PlayStation sent to them. Bro, people with like 10,000 Twitter followers are getting this stuff. I'm like,
what about who you know?
Oh my god.
To hit 2 more questions in chat. John, I'm still working on the bottle from last week. It's a Calumet single bottle 14-year whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey. But there was a question from Drake that was interesting, because I think that it's kind of a compliment to you, Kackis. He asked, because your information is so good, he asked the question, do you have insider info when you make your videos about Destiny and Destiny content, the quests and things? Or are you just going off of do you have the same base knowledge that everyone else has?
I have pretty much, like, unless I've been brought to some sort of capture event, I have pretty much, the same knowledge. Like, not getting stuff in advance, and even if somehow I do, and again, that's a lot of the time through the rumor mill, through like a Reddit post that ends up being true. Like, who knows? It's certainly not exclusive information to me, and most of the time I don't even use it. Like, I see a lot of like leaks and stuff. I'm just like, I'm not gonna cover it, dude. I'm not gonna make a whole video out of this. It's disrespectful to the developers, and it's just like I don't need to do that. So I'm on your playing field. I'm just grinding. When that DLC comes out, I'm playing like 18 hours a day, and I'm just going for it, dude.
And there's some puzzles and quest steps that like they do take time to figure out. And so if you're watching that video, 4 hours or 5 hours later after work, and we've already completed the quest, he can put that guide together, get all that information. He's already figured it out. And so it seems like, holy shit, how did you figure this out? Well, he didn't do it in an hour. It took 3 hours. And to get, good tips for those quest steps, it's a process. And I guess the thing is, because you've made so many guides too, a lot of the quest steps, right? A lot of the quest steps are the same. So it's like, where's the best place to kill goblins? Oh, I know which lost sector, because
it's gonna be different now. A lot of stuff is going away. It's gonna be different.
Kackis's content really is. It really is the epitome of that that farmers insurance slogan. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. And that's Kackis's content. He's giving you information about these quests. It's going to save you time, and he knows a thing or two about these quests.
It might take an extra 2 or 3 minutes to explain everything. It's because I'm telling you, it's going to be better in the long run.
Experience that he's had. It's not based on insider info. It's not based on speculation. He knows a thing or two because he's experienced it. He's seen it.
Now, someone donated, Phil Corvelli donated $10. Thank you very much. And he asked, so he kind of, Phil over here is cheating his way in. He's not a member, but he got the donos. But hey, you got to give respect to the game. So he says, in your opinion, what is Destiny 2's biggest flaw right now? That's a very big question.
The landscape hasn't changed enough. That's its biggest flaw right now, which I think is about to change. But quite frankly, we've just been in even with the seasonal model over the course of the last year, not enough. I will say not. I won't say not a lot. I will say not enough has changed about your day-to-day experience with Destiny. The way that you interact with Destiny has not had enough has had some variation in the course of the last year, but hasn't had enough variation. And that's its biggest flaw. But obviously, that's about to change. New subclasses is huge. New exotics is huge. New location is huge. Story progression for the Destiny universe is massive. So all that's about to change.
I think doubling down on good PvE's content. Honestly, I think it's where Destiny shines. PvP is so tacked on at this point and unbalanced, and there's no tournaments. There's never going to be tournaments. Like it's a space magic game, and every time a dungeon comes out and a raid comes out, I think it highlights, holy cow, the possibilities. I think accessibility to those also. Honestly, I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
The best thing, the biggest flaw, not the best thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hold on. Is they don't focus enough on the PvE though. They need to come out with these big experiences, but they need to make them more accessible. So they've got this dungeon, and a lot of people don't interact with the dungeon because it is really hard. Make an infinite respawn version of it with less rewards so they can at least experience, okay. And then they see that and they're like, all right, now we got to do it with the revive restrictions. And then they can get to the point where it's like, all right, well, now we can go flawless and have rewards for it. I think tiering rewards based on difficulty is something that has been missing forever. Make it accessible to everyone so they can all enjoy the content. Like the 0 hour, do the light mode. You can't get the exotic, but you can experience the mission and step it up. And okay, now it's harder, but the reward is better. And now it's harder and the reward is better. Grandmasters does it, and I think that's the first taste of it.
I mean, I agree that PvE needs to be leaned into, but I would never say at the expense of PvP. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a one or the other. I think it should be both and. I think PvP is a really core part of what makes Destiny and a real big core audience exists that loves Destiny. I know the numbers skew in favor of PvE by a landslide. I get that, but there are a lot of people that love PvP, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there's more people who love PvE. No one cares about PvP. Anyways, listen, Tash, you're wrong, dude. That's a dumb idea. I don't think I think if anything, this game should be less accessible in some regards. I don't like how everything's easy mode. I don't like how the powerful grind is trivial. And now you can sit in strikes the entire week and still progress. Like, oh, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to do any sort of challenging content. I can sit in strikes and get the entire way to the pinnacle cap just by doing that. I'm not sure I'm in favor of that because you need that light at the end of the tunnel. You need the dungeon to be a little bit more difficult. Once you get of light, it's a breeze. A lot of the people just are afraid of it, so they never try it in the first place, or they have one bad LFG experience and they just quit forever. But the reality of the situation is that you need something to do. You need that something to progress. You need those hard mode things to do, right? And so you already have like the the dungeon comes out and you're going to be under leveled. That's when it's hard. Then you get of level. That's when it gets easier. And then you can have the harder version where you do the solo version. But there's just too many games. Borderlands 3 is a great example, and all these other games where once you get some good guns, you're done. There's like nothing to challenge yourself. There's nothing to go for. There's no raid bosses in those games. You're just done. So Destiny needs like something to work towards. And like that's one of it needed that in PvP really badly. And it really didn't get that with Trials. That's why the adept weapons coming. I mean, me and TV already organized doing going trying to get flawless the first weekend. I haven't played Trials in forever because I'm like, I don't care about it. Now I care.
No,
now I legitimately care about Trials, right? So like people will get mad at that because they're like, oh well, it's hard for me, so I can't do it. You're just against the casual player, right? But the fact of the matter is that once you run out of stuff to do, they're gone. The casual players are just out of here. They can be very vocal, but they will abandon the game so fast as soon as they're bored. Right. So you need to give them something to work towards.
And Modsith said, I grinded my ass off for Whisper. To have it easy mode would take away the glory. And that's the thing, is if you want the Whisper, you'd have to do a hard version. But I guess the reason I bring that up is back when the Black Armory launched, on the first day, like most people couldn't interact with the new content. And I would just,
they hated it, yeah.
They hated it. And it was just like, the dungeons are really cool. And I want people to experience them, but I guess there's just some things in the game where it's like,
I think
even if they're not getting rewarded, I'd love for people to just experience it. Like, I don't know how much people interact with the raid, but what percentage of the population has finished a raid? 2%? 5%? 10%? I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I just think that there's so much great content that doesn't get.
Yeah, but the existence of that raid motivates people. Like, why do people log on every single day and check the gunsmith to see what mod he's selling and go and play the double Nightfall rewards to try to get that cracked exotic? Because if I get if I get a Phoenix Protocol with cracked out stats, I'm just going to be a little bit better, and then I can do that raid. They might never do the raid, but subconsciously that's why they're logging on to play. If you take that raid out or put in a raid easy mode that they do and they beat and they don't care about it, they're done. They're gone. Like, they're not going to play.
Right.
Okay. I got a little bit of a hot take.
Yep.
As far as the dungeons are concerned, and it's going to lean more towards Kackis' side of the conversation. I honestly thought Prophecy, is beautiful and cool of a dungeon that it was too easy. I really think that dungeon is too easy. And I gotta say, I was so surprised when in the first couple of weeks, all these people were like, oh, soloing this dungeon is the hardest of all of them. I was like, bro, what? Because I gotta tell you, I was kind of disappointed because I went into it because I really wanted to challenge myself as a PvP player. I said to myself, I would really want to set a bar for me to try and reach for this season. It was a goal for the season. I said, I really want to be able to solo Flawless, the new dungeon. Everyone's saying it's hard. And what happened was I went into that dungeon. I ran through it a couple of times with a team. And I kind of learned the mechanics. Then I went in solo. And after 2 days, I was able to solo it. After 2 sittings, I soloed the dungeon. And I thought, okay, well, now's where the challenge comes in. I have to solo Flawless it. I had only soloed that dungeon 3 times before I got a flawless run on it. And I was disappointed because a week after I set a goal for myself for the season, it was already done. And this is coming from a guy that didn't have all the PvE mods. I didn't have the PvE builds. I was running a PvP build. It was pretty poorly optimized, and I was disappointed. I felt like the activity was too easy.
Yeah, there's always a mix. You need to have casual content, you need to have hardcore content, but we saw what happened when they didn't prioritize the hardcore content. And that was Destiny 2. And then Forsaken got a lot more hardcore. Some would say arguably too hardcore in some aspects, but it was so much better than Destiny 2 launch. As to I still haven't answered the question. In my opinion, the worst Destiny's biggest flaw is just when they do dumb crap. Like when they come out, when they do those cipher decoders, and then they make it so that the best way to farm that once you get the cipher decoders, you don't even need to go like branches into the haunted forest. You just had to like AFK there for 15 minutes and then turn them all in. Like who's thinking of that? And just they do something dumb like that they didn't need to do, and it just derails an entire event and everyone roasts them. And it's like, stop doing that, dude. Stop. Like, what do you like? And they just do these weird and silly things, and or balance something poorly, and like they're nerfing the ruinous effigy, right? And everyone's like, why, dude? Like,
what encounter is that breaking? Like,
like what do you like? We're nerfing the airborne damage for the ruinous effigy melee. Everyone looked at that and was like, what?
I
like,
wish they would have contextualized that, because everyone's like, I just assume it probably broke some encounter down the road. I wish they would have actually said, listen,
if they said it,
you probably have questions about this. Frankly, in our playtesting, there's a certain encounter in the new content. Obviously, we're not gonna tell you what it is. We don't want to do any spoilers, but there's an activity, there's an encounter that this kind of is broken for. At least contextualize it, because then it's easier to swallow. But when that comes out of the blue and everyone's like, wait, what?
And then
maybe it like
getting rid of
weird.
180s, getting rid of 150s instead of like, dude, why don't they just try making 140s 2 body shot? Like, try it. And if it doesn't work, then get rid of it. But it's like, they're like, no, we'll never try it. It's like, dude, try it for 1 season. And then if it doesn't work for 1 season, change it.
Like, you made ARs 600 RPMs neuter everyone in 0.6 seconds. Like, I think you can take a couple risks with the balance changes, right?
Honestly. Yeah. Like, they've even said like stuff for like, the artifact. They're like, well, we're going to try this out. That's why it goes away. The artifact goes away so it can like balance itself, right? If Oppressive Darkness is too OP, which it's one of the best PvE perks for sure, it goes away. And so it balances itself. But it's just so bizarre that they're like, okay, why would you get rid? So you've really lowered the diversity in the game by getting rid of the 150s instead of just try it, Bungie. Like, what is the problem? Like, just because your internal test showed one thing, everyone at Bungie playing together is not necessarily conducive of what's going to happen in the wild, right? So, I don't know. That's what annoys me.
Fair enough.
I'm kind of on the fence with the hand cannon changes. Part of me stands behind it, getting rid of the 150s. In my opinion, the 150s, this kind of circles back to our conversation. They were too easy. I know that, and I know this is a take that gets a lot of people upset, but this is my honest opinion as somebody who plays a ton of this game. 150s in PvP are the epitome of spam cannons. They have between 90 and 100 aim assist on all the rolls people are rocking, sometimes close to 100 aim assist, close to maximum aim assist on these hand cannons. All they do is they put the reticle on something and they just start pulling the trigger. And if it's in the chest, it counts as a head. If it's up here, it counts as a head. If it's over here, it counts as a headshot. And so for me, part of me is really excited to see 150s go away, because it's really going to start to show you who really has gun skill, who has recoil control, who can pace their shots, in the way that they ought to. It's not just keep pulling the trigger and the gun's going to do a lot of the work for you. I hate that. I really do, because part of what I hate about that is it actually hurts casual players who are looking, hey, I got this cool gun in my PvE activity. I want to bring it into PvP and just play around with it because I really like this gun. Well, guess what? There's a lot of things in PvP that people are leaning on because they don't require a lot of gun skill, because the gun is going to do a lot of work for them. And so the thing that you love is just going to get completely overshadowed, and it's going to kind of, maybe it might even taint the relationship you have with that gun. And I don't like that. Part of me is really kind of looking forward to just it being 140s.
True, but like 150s weren't even a problem for a while. It was until they really became an issue when they equalized the range, so that a max range Austringer and minimum range, lowest possible range, 150, were a few steps in between. Like it was almost no difference. That's the problem. So like that to me is what caused all these problems. Cause like if you're saying my absolute max range on the stat bar, Austringer is barely better, can kill someone from like a couple meters further than my trashed range spare rations with max stability, like obviously I'm gonna use the spare rations. Right? Like,
and I mean, the 180s were the same way. They used to be like 45 meters down to 28.
yeah.
Or
So it's
whatever.
like, yeah. So it's like, okay, well then, obviously, if everything is the same range, I'm going to use the fastest shooting one. So like, Bungie comes in and equalizes the range. That makes 150s the problem. Instead of going back and fixing the range issue, they kill the 150s. To me, I can see the argument for that as like, okay, well, you caused the problem and then like didn't even fix the problem. You fixed what was, I don't know. You didn't fix the cause, they fixed the problem, in my opinion. Because the equalizing the range really, really was a cause of a lot of issues.
Fair. I gotta get going.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
It's pretty late.
We have had a good talk, gamers.
Yep.
Chat,
thank
we
you
love
guys.
you
Yeah,
sincerely.
Thank you guys so much for all
Genuinely
the support.
appreciate y'all.
You guys are cute. Thank you. We are the RGH podcast every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be on this YouTube channel, so make sure you're following. Make sure you're hitting the bell. Thank you for the support.
During
Thank you for
Beyond
chatting.
Light, dude. Beyond Light's coming out. It's gonna be wild Wednesday, dude. We might do a very quick, like little 10-minute, 15-minute like chat period at the end. Might have to shorten it a little bit.
Yeah.
But we are gonna be here on Wednesday, the day after Beyond Light comes out,
Yep.
for hot takes and hotter dudes.
Nani? Thank you so much. I'm Mtashed.
I'm KackisHD.
True Vanguard here.